Hello, everybody, and welcome to Comhra. I'm Melissa Mackin from Youth Work Ireland, County Monaghan, and we're here today to have a chat with young people about a very important topic, and it's whether young people in Ireland face racism. And this is one of the topics that the young people from Comhraile have picked for this month, which coincides with George Floyd's death last year and also the Black Lives Matter protests. And we've been doing different topics around mental health, leaving cert. Um, we've been doing ones about climate. So this is another topic for this month, which is around racism in Ireland, whether it exists or not, and do young people in Ireland experience it. So what we're going to do is going to everyone to say hello. So first of all, we've Jamie here who's going to co-host with me. Thanks very much, Jamie, taking the pressure off. And if everyone would just like to introduce themselves, say their name and where they're from. So we'll start with you, Shaman.
Hi guys, I'm Shaman and I'm from Monaghan Town.
Thank you. Shama.
Hi, I'm Shama and I'm from Carrickmacross.
Thank you. And Camilla.
Hi, I'm Camilla and I'm from Ballybay.
Thanks very much. Okay. So I suppose the first question we have here is, do you think young people in Ireland face racism? So we'll go with you first, Shaman.
Yeah, I do think young people experience racism nearly everywhere, I'd say, in school, outside of school. Yeah, it does happen.
It does happen. It does exist.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And what do you think, Shama?
Yeah, I agree with Shaman. It may not be major, but it is there.
Hmm. So sometimes it mightn't be quite obvious. It could be in subtle things that are said or the way things are done.
Yeah.
Yeah. How about you, Camilla?
Yeah, I agree. I know people say like the smallest things and they think it doesn't affect the person, but after all, it could affect the person in some way. Like it might be the smallest thing, but it could affect a lot.
Yeah. So it might be the things that people are not thinking about that they're actually saying or doing. And do you guys have any experience of people being ignorant to you around being different ethnic backgrounds or like instances of things people might say or do that are examples of that? So has anyone any examples that they've experienced?
Um, I know I don't get offended by it, but I'm from a different country myself, and other people calling other foreigners. I feel like that can affect a person. Personally, I don't really mind people calling me a foreigner, but I know some people that do get offended by it because I don't think it's a pleasant word.
Hmm. So you think it has negative kind of connotations if people
Yeah,
are called foreigners? Yeah, yeah, and it's kind of like that. There's a when you say that, then that there's a big difference like between us and them kind of thing. Yeah.
yes.
Okay. Anyone else? Shama, have you any instances of people kind of saying ignorant things or doing ignorant things?
Yeah, I actually do. When I'm in like supermarkets or groceries, there are like some people that will like come up to me and like ask me if I'm Chinese. Like sometimes I'd be like, why would you even bother? And I feel like sometimes that people have to understand that there are other Asian countries other than China, Korea, Japan. Like they have to really like sometimes I would like correct them about it, which is sometimes very scary to do. But sometimes you have to kind of educate some people. Some people will get the message, but sometimes people just will be very ignorant and just
Hmm.
not even acknowledge it.
Yeah. And like even you having to do that, that's like it's something that you shouldn't have to do, and yet you have to do to try to educate people. And it can be quite like they're kind of very uneducated or something, or they're just purposely being ignorant. What do you think it is, Shama? Do you think they're purposely doing it, or they're
I feel
just
like it's half and half. Sometimes people genuinely really don't know, but sometimes you can kind of tell that they are purposely doing it.
yeah. Hmm. Okay, so there's a mixture there. Okay. And how about you, Shaman? Have you experienced anything where people are being ignorant about different ethnic backgrounds or doing things that are annoying or?
Yeah, definitely. Let's take, there's two that I can remember at the moment. One is when I went shopping, there was the shopkeeper was following me around the shop to make sure that I wasn't stealing anything. And there was another instance where I was in the shop with my mum, and the lady was acting as if my mum couldn't pay for the product she was buying, constantly reminding her of the price, like this is this price and all that stuff.
Okay.
So it's really stressful, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and it really irritates you.
Yeah, and it's even to hear that is mind-boggling, you know, to kind of think that somebody would act that way and would say something like that to you. And there's all this stereotypes and prejudice and everything going underneath that, isn't there?
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
And how do you feel when that's happening?
But obviously, I get really frustrated and angry, but there are some times that you can, like, I don't know, confront the person, but there are some times that you just have to take it in because,
Hmm.
you know, but that's how it is.
Hmm. So, and even it might be sometimes is whether you have the energy for it or not. If it's
Yeah,
something that you're
sometimes you just couldn't be bothered.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Or you might feel like it's something that you kind of know from what the person's saying that you're kind of losing a battle, kind of trying to change their mind or to make them more educated.
Yeah.
Okay. And so do you think, is it a generational thing? Is it something that the older generation, is it more that the older generation that you would experience this kind of racism with, or is it any people at all? What do you think?
I think it's like a 50-50. Some younger adulting children get it from their parents. And then I know some parents are racist and then the children won't be racist because of school. But I feel it's just a generational mixture and they don't really know what they're doing. They don't think before they speak.
Hmm. Yeah, so and it's great to hear that it might be that the younger generation are not, you know, doing the same thing, but yeah, that it with the older generation it might be just that they're not educated, or they're saying things that they heard years ago and nobody's corrected them on it, or they don't think that it's wrong to say those types of things. uh Shama, what's your experience? Do you think it's older people, or do you think it's in your experience, or is it a mixture?
I feel like it's a mixture as well, because like sometimes like children follow parents, so like if parents never educate their children about it, it just keeps going on. But like it is a mixture, I think, because some children are educated, some parents are educated,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, I think it's a mixture.
Okay. Do you agree, Shaman?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. Okay. Right, we're coming on to Jamie now. Jamie, hand it over to you. You can ask some questions.
Yeah, so Camilla, you mentioned there a second ago that you know, maybe some parents might be racist, for example, and their kids might necessarily racist because of school. We know that the Irish education system needs reforming, and we know that that is happening. But in the current system, have any of you received education in school about different ethnic backgrounds or racism or diversity? So come to Camilla first then.
I know our school has talked about it, but like we never like experienced like a talk from a different person like outside of school. And I feel like if we brought that in, it'd be a stronger like relationship with the other people. Because I feel like when we're just getting taught by the teachers only, it's just, I don't know, I feel like we need more information outside of school, not only from the teacher's head and like the internet. I feel like the calling in people that have experienced it and talking about it like would help more people to like educate them about it and like actually know the feeling of it, because I know not everyone has experienced racism like others have.
Yeah, definitely. Maybe Shema or Shemin, do you just want to jump in there?
I think it's very touched really briefly because I feel like teachers just want to move on with their like curriculum. So I feel like when you are taught about it, it's like very minor, it's like very brief. Like it's not gone into much detail, especially when Black Lives Matter happened. It was never touched in very deeply. It was just briefly touched, only heard about, and then teachers would just move on about it. So I feel like we should have more representation about it.
Yeah, I think you're completely right. Okay, so I think I'll move to my my next kind of topic, which is kind of racism and current affairs. So really, this kind of falls under the Black Lives Matter and George Floyd. So I think that George Floyd's death and the Black Lives Matter protest occurred around this time last year. So what has that experience been like for you at the time, and how has it affected you, and how has it affected your thinking in the last year? So Shemin, come to you for that one if you want to answer
that. As I said earlier, I have experienced racism and all that stuff, but it was never something like that bad and that serious. Like especially hearing stuff from America. Like there was always like we always knew about like police brutality in America against Black people and all that stuff, like through movies and all that stuff. But what happened to George Floyd, it really, I don't know, it really had an effect on me, and I was like, wow, this is actually real. This is something really serious that we need to resolve this issue.
Yeah, that's definitely correct there. Does any of you want to come in on that one as well?
I feel like the adults are like not basing it on us. Like they're not. I know some adults are listening to us, but some adults are not listening to our words to like try to talk about it. I feel like us now are like, yeah, we're all about the Black Lives Matter, but I know some people are out there and we're trying to get them to like understand about it, but they're not listening to us, so they're just doing their own thing.
Yeah, I think that's a kind of a big issue with the entire movement and all that. And I guess another question is, what impact do you think George Floyd's death, and even Breonna Taylor and other racist incidents regarding police, what impact do you think that their deaths and the protests have had on your lives and of that of the communities? So maybe we can go to Shama for that one and then come back as well.
I feel like it brought the whole world together because it wasn't just one country or one town that heard about it. It was the whole internet, the whole world was sharing about it, which made like such a big impact because it was made known. Like if this was happening years ago without social media, we wouldn't have known about this. But now that we had social media, it holds so much power. It just brought so much more impact and importance towards it.
Yeah, I think that's definitely something that we all have access to a camera right beside us. So it's I don't think the movement would be that big if social media and if phones didn't exist. I think we're all labeled citizen journalists now. We can just take any video and post to Instagram or Twitter. So it's really influential.
Mm-hmm. And I think a big difference with that case with George Floyd is that it was filmed. And that's a major part of it, that things like this have happened before, several times before. But the big thing was that the whole thing was filmed and that there was evidence there, thank God, this time. So it has had a big impact. But it's really good to even to hear some of your ideas around like what should happen around um getting guest speakers in to so and I listening to you, it sounds like you want deeper conversations about racism and having those deeper conversations in school and outside school and in youth groups and wherever you come together. And for adults, I think, Camilla, I think you're saying, is to go beyond the surface of kind of not just kind of saying, yeah, I agree with that or whatever, but going further and taking it further in conversation and in education. Yeah. Okay. So I suppose following on from that is, what do you think could make things better? So are there things in your school or in your community on a day-to-day basis? Have you any advice or anything that we could be doing or should be doing to make things better? Does anyone have any ideas?
Like I said, I think getting people into schools to talk about it would be like a huge part, and like a person who has experienced, get everyone else like the emotions, because I feel like if people don't really know how it felt, they're just like, oh, it's just a word, it's nothing, like they don't really know what it is properly.
Yeah, no, I agree with Camilla, like that as well. And we just need to spread the awareness of racism. Like it is real, it is here, and we need to let people know and we need to talk about it. It's a serious issue.
I feel like a change of words would be like nice as well, to like help people be more respectful. Like instead of saying, oh, there's a black person or there's a brown person, like a change of words like, oh, there's a person of color or there's the people of color. It's a bit more respectful and you don't have to like panic or like what you should say.
Yeah, so it's even about, like as you say, going down to the nitty gritty of the small things that we're things that we're saying, things that we're doing that we're not noticing, that it needs to be talked about how we're conducting ourselves and to try and do better, basically, to do better and to be more considerate and to um look at each other all in a better light. And as you were saying, Shemaine, like it does exist, so it's not saying like people saying, oh, it doesn't really exist anymore. It does, it's prevalent and it's there, and it can be like that in language, in what we're saying and what we're doing. So it's something, I think there's some great ideas that you have here of just deepening the conversation and taking more time to talk about it in our community, in our schools, in our youth groups, and with our families, and challenging people as well. Okay. Okay, so I think that's all the questions we have. Thank you so much for taking part, and thanks to Jamie for co-hosting with me. Um, I think that's all. Is there anything else anyone wants to say, or will we say goodbye? No, everyone's okay. Okay, thank you very much for taking part, and we'll see you again next time.